So welcome everyone. No, I haven't streamed in a while. I thought, you know what, maybe I should use one episode just to meet all the people from my party. What I mean with meet them is because they have all a backstory and I want to know it. But if I would do this on stream, it would basically be just like 1 hour going over it. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this after stream, record it, put it on YouTube anyway. So if you guys want to know the backstory of these guys, you can just easily watch this video. And if you don't really care, you can skip it, just go to the next one. So be prepared, this entire episode is going to be probably very long, and it's only going to be listening to the backstory of my team members. So let's start with Amiri. Here she is. Actually, there's a dog here. Can I pet the dog? No. Oh, I think we already talked to Amiri and discovered the entire... Yeah, I know everything about her. She's from a tribe, she was a barbarian. I think we also talked to Jatal. Jatal. How do you pronounce this? Yeah, I also did that. And then we have the paladin. He's standing here, yes. Valerie. Greetings. Everything is well, I hope? I'm ready for new orders. Tell me about yourself. What exactly would you like to know? I was born into a noble family, though I didn't remain long on the family estate. My father sent me off to the Order of the Eternal Rose, but I left once I realized that it didn't match my principles. Is the goddess of art and beauty, intention, blah blah blah. Where are you from? What was your childhood like? I was born in Brevoy, but in fact I've never seen much of the country. I spent my childhood on a remote estate owned by my noble family. Father is a respectable philanthropist and benefactor of the Church of Shelene. He is also a renowned private collector and a great admirer of the arts. Oh, that sounds actually quite nice. My mother saw to my education personally. From my early years I learned good manners, how to behave at a dinner table, and the proper form of words for every occasion. I also learned the difference between true nobles and low-born upstarts, and I learned how to treat each of them properly. That sounds very promising. Our home was always under the protection of several paladins of Shelene. My father has donated a handsome sum to their order. One of them, a man of venerable age with a grey beard, once let me touch his shining armor. Oh. My dirty mind thought of something else, but whatever. I still remember the admiration I felt when I touched the cold polished steel. All of the memories of my childhood, that one is somehow the warmest one. Why were you sent to the Paladin Order of the Eternal Rose? As you can imagine, from my first days I was surrounded by crowds of servants and nannies who never stopped praising my heavenly beauty. The paladins of Shelene, who used to visit our house, echoed these praise. In the end, general consensus overwhelmed my father's better judgment. When I turned 6, I was brought to the Church of Shelene and told that this would be my new home. Don't pity me though, I beg of you. Many who hear this story immediately assume that my parents were cruel and had no love for their child. My parents had respect for me. They taught me something that has supported me all of my life. A sense of self-esteem. Besides, they didn't abandon me. Once every 6 months they would come and visit me at the Order of the Eternal Rose. We had some tea, then we had an hour to walk around the garden. Then they would take their leave as etiquette demanded. But what did they teach you in this order? A variety of things. Some of them appealed to me, others I simply couldn't accept. I enjoyed the physical activities and swordsmanships. The arts, calligraphy, painting, poetry, and so many other ways to waste one's time. I guess that deep in my heart I always knew I'd never be a true paladin of Shelene. Wielding a sword always felt more natural to me than handling a paintbrush. But why did you leave? Because of my heavenly beauty. Attempt according to Shelene's law, all art is sacred, whatever form it takes. Severe punishment awaits those who dare harm a painting, sculpture, or poem, no matter how worthless the rival might be. My looks always attracted unwanted attention from the pilgrims and acolytes at the temple. I received my first poem, dedicated to me, when I was 9. It's kinda creepy. The author was some wealthy geezer, and this was only the beginning. Well, this actually doesn't start so well. Sculptures, pictures, poems, I was drowning in them. My admirers mobbed me and I had to respectively accept all their garbage. The clerics of the temple were magnanimous, for my suitors made generous offerings to the church. But one time I just snapped. Some wealthy idiot had dedicated an extremely untalented poem to me, and he had the nerve to read it right to my face, holding my sleeve. The hour was late, and I was on my way to get rest after a boring lesson on rhymes. I lost control and tore the poem apart right in front of him. Paladins wanted to impose some punishment upon me. I don't remember which one exactly. They wanted me to repent. Instead, I just gathered my things and left. So what did you do after you left the order? I set off for Restov. Wanted to get as far away as possible from Shalene, with the destiny everyone seemed so ready to force upon me. Besides, the school of swordsmanship in Restov has quite a decent reputation. Honestly, I was hoping for an opportunity to learn from the famous Aldori masters. Eventually, it became clear that their technique wasn't a good fit for me. They teach to avoid impact, whereas I prefer to raise my shield. But my abilities and skills, which I learned at the Order of the Eternal Rose, were enough to make the Sword Lords take an interest in me. They offered me a chance to join the mercenaries who served the Sword Lords, and I accepted. I bet your beauty inspired many people in the Order. And here I'd hope to avoid the question. Well, let's get this over with once and for all. You should understand that I'm perfectly aware that most races, orders and genders find me physically attractive. It's beyond my power to change that. I've never given a potential admirer any reason to start a conversation with me. But it doesn't stop them. After leaving the order, I took a dagger and cut off the long hair they used to praise. Well, now I get letters praising the beauty of my eyes. It was because of my appearance that I ended up in the Order of the Eternal Rose, though I never wanted to be a paladin. It was because of my beauty that an infinite number of suitors have pursued me, all of them confusing simple politeness with hints of affection. But do you know what I really want? I want people to stop treating me like a piece of art. I want them to notice that I'm a person, that I'm capable of something more than smiling for paintings. Where I sit wearing a lacy satin dress, holding a basket of peaches in my lap. Is that too much to ask? Thank you for your honesty. Shouldn't drive people away while shouting. It was just, yeah. Thank you for your honesty. I understand you very well. You're a true friend who can trust with my life. Let's change the subject. Oh my god. There's a lot. So tell me about the ways of Shalene and about the paladins. As a goddess of love, beauty and art, her paladins are something like armored artists. That's how they think of themselves, at least. They're fanatical defenders of wordless, inartistic paintings of meaningless opuses, if you care to know my opinion. You speak of Shalene with such contempt. What did the goddess of beauty do to her? Yeah, they already explained this. She's been trying to ruin my life, the goddess of everything useless that ever existed in this life. All the beauty in the world, all the art, all the soulful signs in the moonlight that never feed a single family. And I beg you to refrain yourself from offering your own opinion. Trust me, I've heard everything you can tell me. More than once. Nothing, and nobody can change my mind. So Shalene, she's the goddess of idlers. I almost joined her preposterous entourage. Just glad I was smart enough to denounce her while I was still good. What do paladins of Shalene... Oh, maybe... Wait, this is new. What do they usually do? They wander around seeking the next pile of garbage, and when they find it, they call it an immortal piece of art and admire it until they're blue in the face. You might not believe this, but the paladins of Shalene aren't allowed to slay their foes if they beg for mercy. Can you guess why? Because a bandit, rapist or murderer who has been put to the sword will never be able to create something beautiful in the future. So a paladin overpowers their enemies in battle and inspires him to create a masterpiece. It might sound hilarious if it weren't true. Plus, all of Shalene's followers are obliged to practice some sort of art in his or her free time. Every single day, no matter what else is going on, even if you're feeling sick, hungry, sleepy. Otherwise, according to the clerics, you lose your connection with your goddess. A preposterous notion, wouldn't you agree? I understand that not every piece of art is good or even decent. Surely, there must be at least a few great works among them. Is that what you think? Many share the delusion. I was deluded too for a while. Now and consider all works of art useless. People create this garbage because they have nothing better to do. The peasant doesn't paint a picture, he plows the earth to feed his family. The soldier has no time for sculpture, he must defend his homeland. But idlers and slackers have plenty of time to waste, so they smear canvases with paint and imagine they've done something worthy and valuable. So you said that every paladin must practice some kind of art. What art did you pursue? Ah, that. I used to embroider, and I still do from time to time. It's nothing, I assure you, just a simple task to keep my hands busy, keep the gloomy thoughts at bay. Nothing special. I see. So you're an atheist, so you don't worship any deity. Right, I need no guidance from above. I have my own good conscience and my leader's order to live by. You know, you don't have to follow etiquette and maintain good manner while speaking with me if you don't want to. I'm aware of that. But I'm sure you understand that I am what I am. That's how I was brought up. First by my parents and then by my mentors in the order. I guess you have plenty of suitors. She's not going to like that. Sadly, you're right to suppose that. Even here in these remote lands, one can find offspring of many noble houses. And all of them consider it their duty to kneel before me, begging me to walk with them in the garden. Oh, and don't forget about the village oafs. They understand the concept of nobility perfectly well. But they realize they will be punished if they dare to make any advances toward me, so they prefer to stare from a distance, drooling. And believe me, I can be very well imagine what they discuss in the taverns. Yuck. You know, you're really quite beautiful. You're a reliable friend and a worthy ally. But would be a crime to... Why would you say this? But still going to do it. I sincerely hope your words carry nothing more than a politeness. For the moment, yes, I'm not going to stalk you like your admirers, but I wanted you to know that I've noticed you. And what if I meant something else? Well, yes, that's what I mean. That's good. In that case, I can thank you for the compliment. I would ask you to never bring it up again. You're so eager to follow my orders, but why? What do you mean, why? I follow your orders. I've joined your campaign because I have faith in you. I believe your intentions to be noble, although things may not always turn out as you planned. You're my commander, your orders are law. It's my duty to follow them. Well, so long as you don't order me to do something that's absolutely dishonorable. But that will be never happen, I hope. Thank you for the conversation. As you wish. I like that she actually nodded. So she was a paladin. Okay, that's good to know. Let's see. We still have the quest from him. Harim. Harim pulls spear, muttering. What? Ah, it's you, Merlin. Did I startle you? I'm sorry. Oh no, that doesn't matter. I was just contemplating the futility of existence and the worthlessness of the universe. The ways of Brutus are great. My humble mortal mind cannot fully grasp them. But I do what I can. Tell me about your past. My life is divided into two parts. The first was filled with blind wandering, doubts and attempts to serve Turak. The second part began when I accepted greatness into my soul and received a clear vision of the world. What exactly would you like to know? So where are you from? My life story began in Larat, a city of dwarven clerics and acolytes. They served Turak and the other dwarven gods, Turak's brothers Angrat and Margrim. Turak's wife Fulgrid, his daughter Volka, his sons Grundinar, Kols, Trot, and also Turak's sister Rangvid. I wouldn't be surprised if they built a temple to Turak's pet dog. Sorry, I let myself get carried away. Larat is the second largest dwarven city in the Five Kings Mountains. It's built up around numerous temple caverns which serve as a place of worship for all the dwarven gods. Many pilgrims from every corner of Golarion come to Larat to pray to their god. Some remain to live there. The city is simply imbued with fate. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting a cleric. It's no surprise, inspired by the aura of the city, that I decided as a young boy to dedicate all my efforts to becoming a cleric of Turak. What does he do? The father of creation is stoic and serious dwarven god of the Forge Protector. Okay, so you once tried to serve Turak? Not just tried, it was a burning passion. I craved it by day and dreamt of it at night. See, Merlin, from my first days I felt the presence of the god at my back. I heard him whisper and felt his power. The nature of his powers were unclear to me. I thought Turok himself was trying to speak to me. I did all I could to understand his words. Oh, what a naive fool I was. I had no idea that Turok, that uncompromising, conceited god, glamorized by all the dwarves, was capable of betrayal. He turned away from me, Merlin. He left me in the hour when I put all my hopes in him, and he desperately needed his support. Turok is the god of craftsmanship, so every follower, especially the clerks, must smith their own suit of armor. The day when this work is finished is like the second birthday for a dwarf. It's newly born in the eyes of Turok. The second birthday never came. I couldn't make armor, not even a sword, not even a simple nail. My hammer smashed my fingers and I fell on my feet. Molten iron burned my hands. The clerics laughed as they healed me. They used to say I was cursed by Turok. So finally I gave up any attempt to please the betrayer god. Even if Turok really has rejected you, is that enough reason to leave your homeland? You don't know how much about dwarves. How can a dwarf cursed by Turok go on living in a city where every single soul bows to Turok? I was alone, disgraced, humiliated and insulted. I was trying to drown my sorrows in drink, but even the owner of the cheapest pub in the road would laugh at me all while he puts those mugs in front of me. I couldn't take it any longer. I wanted everything to end. But there was one thing that kept me going and prevented me from ending my life. I could still hear the divine whisper behind my back. It was yet faint. It took a long time before I could hear it clearly. But having heard it once, I could never forget it. It was clear that none of Larad's deities favored me, so I left the Five King Mountains and went out searching. I didn't think dwarves ever worshipped Cretus. How did you learn about him? Oh, but that blessed day became the beginning of a new life. Alone and abandoned by all, I spent many dull hours in a filthy tavern by the roadside. I don't recall the town, nor even the country. I had no money, in fact. In fact, all I had was a hunk of stale bread. I was weary and almost fainting from hunger. And that was the moment when the whisper from my god became more clear. It was like he was calling me. At last my sufferings had come to an end. It was a miracle, Merlin. And I paid full price for it with my torments. I couldn't control myself. I walked out the terrain and straight into the nearest forest. And there I found the ruined temple of Aradon. Lost god. Several figures clad in robes were holding a silent service there. A service to a god I knew nothing of. None minded when I stood beside them. For the first time in my life, I felt myself at home. My new brothers told me that they were clerics of Cretus, the god of end times. They were traveling around Golarion, spreading the teachings of Cretus. Despite all the persecution, contempt, and misjudgment I received from the others, I gladly shared this burden with them. For now I knew whose voice had whispered to me in all these years. Wait, so you couldn't make even a simple nail, and you blamed Turok? Are you suggesting that my problem was not a curse, just my own inability to work with metal? Or maybe you're saying that I was just too lazy? You're a fool, if you think so. An ignorant fool. Have you ever met a dwarf who can't handle a smith's hammer? Even our children craft knives. No. Turok is the cause of my suffering. The betrayer god deliberately cursed me, just to make a laughing stock of me. But I won't let myself to get angry at you, Merlin. You're an ignorant and blind soul, and my aim is to guide you through this dying world that marches towards its end. I will open your eyes, or die trying. Cretus will be pleased by either outcome. Yeah, let's talk about something else. I'd like to learn more about dwarves. Most dwarves are self-satisfied, stubborn fools serving Turok. They don't deserve my good attitude. But you can ask what you want to know, I'll try to answer. Tell me about the Five King Mountains. The Dwarven Kingdom, yes. Well, it's to the south from here. It survived many trials, and there will be more yet to come. There is no unity among the dwarves, Merlin. The Five Kings rule over our people. They sit on the thrones of the 5 greatest cities, and with every passing day, it grows harder for them to come to any agreement. The only thing united the 5 Kings is the Sky Citadel of High Helm, the great dwarven fortress at the mountain's heart. The dwarves always lived on the surface? Oh no, eons ago all dwarves lived deep beneath the surface, and they did rather well, judging by the historic records. They built fortresses befitting noble dwarves, but our restless god Turok sent us a prophecy, the quest for the sky. He ordered all the dwarves to abandon the fortress and press upwards, to show their beards to the sun, as they say. The journey was long and bloody. Many dwarves perished on the way, others turned back, keeping to their ancient strongholds. Eventually, they turned into evil Durgar, grey dwarves. But those who survived reached the surface and founded the Sky Citadels, the most glorious cities in dwarven history. Tell me about the Sky Citadels. Oh, they are a peak of creation. Glorious cities built by the ancient dwarves who finally reached the surface after many hardships, performing the final label in their quest for the sky on the surface of Galeria. They're steadfast, tall, magnificent. They're beautiful. 10 citadels were built by the dwarves, but we've managed to keep only a few. The citadels crumbled and the orcs, sworn enemies of our people, trampled to every last street and ruined the gorgeous palaces of the ancient kings. These were heavy losses, and as a disgrace to our people. Helm is the jewel of the citadels that remains. It is located at the heart of the mountain, at the heart of every dwarf. Yes, my heart too. There is a dwarven saying that if an enemy reaches High Helm, every dwarf from all the corners of the world will come to defend it. I'd be there too, but not to help the citadel defenders. I'd be there to witness the fall of our people with my own eyes and mourn it. I would fall upon the cold stone and raise my final prayer to Gretus. So I'd like to talk about your god, Gretus. You wish to learn about Gretus? Yes, of course, I will answer everything that you ask. What are his teachings about in a nutshell? He is the end of all that exists. Look around, what do you see? Look again and realize that everything will be destroyed. Our clothes and our armor will turn to dust. The walls of the palaces will crumble into ruins. The trees will fall and you and I will die much sooner than that. It's a timeless watcher. He has been locked away by Pharasma, the goddess of rebirth, from her boneyard. He watches over the world, knowing the time for the final reaping shall come. He's the bloated moon hanging in the sky. He's the harbinger of the last day. He's the one who will stay when all the others are gone. Pharasma and Gretus are locked in her boneyard, so she's stronger than Gretus? Of course she's stronger. Now, Gretus is weaker than Pharasma, and many other gods. I would be a fool if I tried to claim otherwise. If Gretus were stronger, the end times would already have come, wouldn't they? But the power of the gods are fade away. They dissolve slowly, a grain in a century. Gretus collects these grain and waits. He doesn't need to hurry. He knows that his time shall come. Usually clerics can speak with their gods. What does Gretus say to you? What is his will? He doesn't speak to his clerics. Actually, he doesn't need any clerics. He only allows his whispers to be heard, and only by those who are dying to hear them. His words are unclear, but they call to you. His voice comes with the soft rustle of fallen leaves, the woeful wailing, and at the mountain pass, with the roar of the raging blizzard, and it calls you to strike out on the road. Onwards. Always onwards, over the pass, over the bridge, and further on. Up ahead, where the edge of the grey rope flashes and the candle sputters for the last time before dying. Onwards, always onwards, until your feet can no longer carry you. Thank you, I think I learned enough for now. What do you think about Gretus? I like your tales, there's an untruth. I mean, yeah, I think I'm going for this one. I like your tales, there's an inner truth to them. I'm glad you think like that. We'll bring this truth to the whole world, and I tell everyone that the end is inevitable. Have you ever regretted your decision to abandon Turok? Your question might seem offensive, Merlin, but I'm not offended. I realize you ask it because you wish to learn more about Gretus. Turok betrayed me. All he's ever done was look down with contempt on all my future efforts. Please him. Crafted armor plates, but they fell apart with a single strike of a fist. Smithed swords, but they broke at the hilt. Turok's priests used to say that such failures were the curse of the uncompromising deity. It was Gretus who opened my eyes. He showed me that failure is a magnificent manifestation of his will. The end times is near, and every failure is just another step towards it. Turok's curse is only half the reason for my failure. The other half is the blessing of Gretus, which I have borne from early childhood. So, it's no. Doesn't spare the mind of his clerics, they're all go insane. Is that true? Ha, we told you that. I'd like to look that slanderer in the eye. You see, sanity is quite a relative concept. Each of us is certain that he is the sanest creature in the world. Meanwhile, we periodically doubt the sanity of others. But what happens if 2 or 3 people claim that someone else is insane? Does that make it true? Perhaps the accusers have lost their minds themselves. The longer a cleric listens to whispers of Gretus, the better he complements the essence of his design and the deeper his understanding becomes. When enlightenment comes, the mind of a cleric ascends to a new level of understanding, which is inaccessible to the simpler souls. Is it insanity? This is for you to decide, Merlin. My decision was made long ago. When I reach enlightenment, I'll accept it with joy and delight. How about when you learn greed, I could use a good laugh. Oh, of course, I will tell you. Tell everyone, the word of greed will lead us forward into the inevitable. Thank you. We'll talk later.
All according to plan.
Hey, it's you again. What can I do for you? Where were you when the trade post was attacked? I was hunting. So what are you doing here? I have friends. I don't have enough money right now. I'd like to use you tutors of the Pathfinder Society. Of retraining. Ah, okay. What's the purpose? They look for better knowledge. Okay, then we have Lindsay. Just a moment, I just got something. Hi. So, tell me about yourself. The Arcanine. Oh, you haven't heard of them? How can you be a hero without knowing one of the most epic stories in the history of stories? No, I won't spoil anything. You should just read about them yourself, every single chapter. Their adventures are what gave me the idea of going on a heroic quest and writing about it to begin with. Now look at me, here I am, on an heroic quest. So how did you become a bard? When I realized there was nothing for me at the home besides more radish patches, I decided to run away, a traveling book peddler. Bessie the Quill. And across our village. Well, I stuck to her like a burr and wouldn't let go until she agreed to take me on as an apprentice. Together we traveled everywhere, to Brevoy, Taldor, even Ustalav. Then I found out that the Academy of Grand Arts and Pitax, and I thought, well, I love reading stories, so I can surely learn to write them too. I enrolled on my first try, and they even gave me a scholarship. Then they expelled me, but that's okay. They already taught me all the important stuff. Now, with Shalene's help, I can manage my own. Do you worship Shalene? Yes, not to offend the other gods, but she's the most important of them all, and the other gods guard the world as it is, but only the eternal Rose, the goddess of beauty, calls us to the world as it should be. So why are your clothes so messy? Forget it, I can't waste money on looks. I'd rather buy books instead. In 100 years, when people are reading my works, they aren't going to ask whether the author had holes in her sleeves. Oh, that's true. So you come from Pitax, right? Tell me about it. Oh, I love Pitax. I even thought they kicked me out, a joyful place. What's life? Actually, it always has been one huge nest of thieves, bandits, river pirates, smugglers, fences, card sharp. It's all been home for the likes of them. That was before Irovetti became king. With him, a whole different life began there. Irovetti always wanted to make history, but not as another banner with a crown. So that's exactly what he is. He wanted to be glorified through the centuries as a great patron of the arts, so he built the Academy of Grand Arts and spent lots of gold to assemble the best artists, poets, and musicians. Of course, the very best ones refused to go, but he got what he wanted in a way. It was just one booze barn for the thieves, now it's a cabaret. What do you know about King Irovetti? He won his crown in a game of cards, which says a lot. He's fiendishly clever. Some cheats I know told me that from the moment he appeared, he started to pulling off such schemes that the old city masters just scratched their head. With him in charge, cult flooded into Pitax. And also, he's incredibly, unimaginably, fantastically decadent and conceited. Getting drunk with whores at the pub, that's not Lord Everati style. Oh no, he aims bigger, higher. Dressing up like a male Calistria with a golden codpiece and holding three-week orgy. With dancing on the rooftop, parades, public executions, and the contest for the best ode to the great unrivaled king. That's more like it. He also likes singing, and he orders his guards to make the citizen gather for his shows. May Shireen have mercy on the listeners. So tell me about the academy. You know, jokes aside, I'm thankful to Irovetti for building it. But he has no taste at all whatsoever. He likes his art loud, bright, grandiose, and most importantly, glorifying his royal highness. He kicked out the best charcoal artist because he didn't wish to spend money on grey scribbles. He sacked a masterful flute player from Xiao for playing too quietly, and instead ordered them to open a kettle drum class. He even ordered the academy to expel me, and for what? An innocent limerick. Would you like to go back and finish? I'd like to return, but on one condition. If they threw out 3/4 of the professor would teach there now and return all the ones they banish. You ask me, I'm proud to have been expelled. If my art was to Irovetti's likings, then I would have reason to be ashamed. As long as mediocre lickspittles sit at the academy and those with the real talent back in the streets, I will not cross the threshold of that place. Tell me about the book you're writing. What is there to tell? You've seen some of my rough draft already, haven't you? It's a book about you and your adventures. I'm writing the whole truth just as it happens. Well, the whole artistic truth. You know, no glory, no story. But why are you writing it? What's the point? When I was at the academy, Eobald the Insightful began his literature course with the question, what is a person? And he answered, a person is a storytelling animal. A world does not consist of things. All these woods, seas, and cities consist of stories about those things. Stories we tell to ourselves and to each other. Just think about it. Centuries will pass and there will be no me and no you. All your subject will be long gone, but you and I will live on in people's memory and influence their deeds. Thanks to this very book. No offense, but your command of language is not that good. Your book is so full of inconsistency. Your book is so full of inconsistencies. Well, yes, I can admit that. Sometimes one has to bend a few details for the sake of dramatic effect. It's called poetic truth. I write about everything as I saw it with my own eyes, even parts of the adventure that I wasn't around for. But I do always carefully question everyone who was with you all the time. Think of it as a general picture in the end. You're the hero of this book and I'm just a storyteller. Truth doesn't hurt me, but who do you think my most severe critic is? That's right, it's me. This is my first real book and I have much yet to learn. But don't you worry, I will do your feats justice. And if I put my foot in my mouth here and there, then we can print a second edition, revise and correct it. What kind of character am I? In books, everything is simple. These are the heroes and those are the villains. And life, of course, completely different. You have to make a difficult decision, and I don't always agree with you, but that's what makes you a complex, multifaceted character. You have an iron core. No matter what tricks fate throws in your path, you always know what's right and what's wrong. Some might say that's boring, but others will learn from you, from your strong character. How do you feel about me reading your work in progress? Well, these are only drafts. But of course you are welcome to read them. Just keep in mind that even if you don't like what I write about, I won't change a single letter, so don't even ask. Of course, it's a book about you, but it's my book, understood? Write whatever you wish, it's your right, but I shall decide if no, I'm going to. As long as you write the truth, I have no objection. I swear, truth, only truth, and just a teensy bit of imaginative exaggeration. Talk about something else. Tell me about your friendship with Tessie the Quill. What's there to say? The books woke my urge to travel, but it was only thanks to Tessie that I managed to really get out of my village. At first, Tessie tried in vain to get rid of me, but later when I told her I was staying in Pytex, she even shed a tear. I wonder where she is now. What's the deal with the ring on your finger? This was a gift to me from my first teacher. It's magical, imbued by the powers of Shalene, no less. When I get myself in trouble, it transports me to a safe spot. So please don't be angry with me if I suddenly disappear from a fight. I'll wait for you here. Okay. And I think the other ones are upstairs, yes. So Octavia. Hello. Got any good news? Could you tell me about your childhood, please? Too little. Some scraps of memories, no more than that. So what exactly do you remember? Nothing special. Some images of a faraway past, that's all. You remember wooden table legs. The pingdom them was spinning off and I was standing on my toes, trying to peek at what was on the table. I remember the wild rose by the window. It kept me up at night, scratching the glass with its gnarled branchlets. I do remember my mother's blue dress. It was a trifle battered. It was smelled of lavender. I guess that's all. Not much there, right? All these memories. It's like they're not mine at all. I recall some images, and I know I should feel something about them. But I don't remember what exactly I should feel. So let them rot in a swamp with dead soul worms. My life's good enough without them. What do you know about your parents? You're half-elf, right? Am I? You know, I think you might be right. I'm rather slim and tall, and you can see well in dim light. Ah, you're a bit pointy. Yeah, I'm definitely a half-elf. Let's think about that logically. So my mother was an elf, and my father was a human. Or maybe it was the other way around, and my mother was a... So, that's it. Now you know as much about my parents as I do. Do you remember how you were enslaved? I clearly remember the man who took me away from my home. He was big, with a huge pot belly and shaggy beard. I was afraid he would eat me. Anyway, he didn't stay long with me. He gave me to his slave accomplices, and I never saw him again. My mother was giving me to him. She was crying. I can still barely hear her quiet voice. I can't recall the words behind her, or her face behind the tears. Just that lavender smell. It tickled my nose and I wanted to sneeze. Did my mother sell me into slavery? But then, why was she crying? As if she didn't want me to be a slave, why didn't she try to save me? One more riddle from the past that I don't care to solve. It must be horrible, being unable to recall your childhood. Oh, I recall my childhood in rather bright details. It was spent in dirty barracks, I wore flea-infested rags and slept on a straw mattress instead of a proper bed. So I understand what you mean. You know, to be honest, I'm not sure if I want to remember my childhood before slavery. If I could remember what I lost, it would probably just bring me back more pain. That's good I don't remember much. Why don't you tell me about the life in slavery? I don't like to recall it, but if you insist. The slavers from the Technic League tried to ruin my life. All I could do was ruin my childhood. My enslavers from the Technic League funded a large expedition into the Stolen Lands. 100 agents, tens of slaves, wagons. We were to search for some ancient artifacts or ancient ruins. The group never made it to the Technic League hideout. Along the way it was attacked by the future owner of the Stolen Lands himself, and I was forever grateful for him. Did you have many masters over the years? Yes, many of them. Some owed me for years, others felt they had enough of me in a couple of months. Trust me, I did all I could to make every master eager to get rid of me. A slave that's trained in magic is a rather expensive thing, so they wouldn't kill me. At least that was the hope. So I drooled and played an idiot, and I listened as every new master argued with my former one trying to return me. Sometimes I punctured the pages of magic books I was forced to copy with a quill. Other times I pretended to mix up the spells. So instead of lighting a magic torch, I set dozens of dancing lights floating just below the ceiling. Of course, most of these tricks of mine usually ended badly. I got punished on a regular basis. My pack still remembers the Waster's whips. Oh, all of my scars from those times are long gone. Where did you learn to use magic? Oh, I was taught magic by Janus of Starfall, one of the most famous wizards in Numeria. Maestro Janus, as he insisted on calling himself. Anyone would be happy to learn from such a great master, and only a talentless bitch like me wouldn't dare to reject his teaching. At least, that's what Maestro Janus used to repeat constantly while whipping knowledge into my back. Great Maestro was a big fan of punishment. They technically didn't care if a few slaves died on the Master's whip, as long as Maestro Janus provided an arcane-trained one in return. Officially, there's no slavery in Numeria, but the Technic League is above any law. A slave with an aptitude for the arcane is worth much more than a regular one. A slave's repertoire is limited to the simplest and safest spells, of course. Did you ever try to run away? What a silly question. Of course I tried. As soon as we even saw the tiniest opportunity to get free, Reg and I grabbed for it. On one occasion, we jumped from the cart into the river. There was a time when we spent weeks trying to dismantle the far wall of the barracks and make a path out. Sometimes we attacked the guards when they least expected. We craved freedom, we lived only to dream about it. Those short days, sometimes weeks, what we spent on the run were the happiest days of my life. We used to hide in the woods or blend in with the crowd on the street of Starfall. Midnight stars were our guiding lights, and we shared our dreams with them, to reach the river kingdoms. For these lands, there were neither slaves nor masters. We were starving and freezing, but that was the real life. Too bad it usually ended too soon. Technically, agents always found us in the end. I don't know how they managed to do that. They probably used magic, or maybe it was just their fate. They whipped us and returned us to our old masters, or sold us to new ones, if the old ones refused to pay. So we were slaves again, but the dream about the river kingdoms never left our hearts. Have your masters ever hurt you? Figured it out, didn't you? Maybe you wanted to hear all about the beatings I survived, the humiliations I've endured. Imagine the worst thing one person can do to another and multiply it tenfold. That's what happened to me nearly every day in slavery. Masters. Oh, how I hate that word. They punished me because they wanted to hurt me. But what hurt even more was the mere fact of their existence. Wait, I want to tell you. Technically, Agent rescued us from... Rag and I tried to run... What? You rescued us from... Ah. Okay. The Technic League agents you rescued us from, Rag and I tried to run away from many times, but they always managed to find us eventually. I have no reason to hope that this time they've lost strike of us. I won't let anyone harm while you're with us now. I'm confident that I should be able to make a deal with them. I wish I had your confidence. I'd like to find them first. I just have to ask you, how do you manage to look so gorgeous even when we're out in the middle of nowhere? Oh, so you've noticed. My appearance is the result of daily effort and it's not easy. Do you know how much time it takes to create good magic or to mend a dress even with the help of magic? So someday if you wake up early, an hour before dawn, so you can actually check on me. See, I prepare myself for the new day. So much effort, yeah. That's your business. It's good that you understand that. You know, it feels so good to be a beauty in a group of barely washed and extremely reckless young gentlemen. You're my thorns and I'm your rose. You worship Calistria, right? Yes. Many slaves survived only thanks to their fate. Some lived hoping for a day when a good deity would deliver them. Some even offered deals to the evil gods. But me and Rag, Calistria has taught us the most important things. Expect no gifts from above, rely on yourselves, and never forgive those who wronged us. But, at the same time, savor every droplet of pleasure we could squeeze from our bleak days. It's amazing how after all your hardship you still remain so cheerful and optimistic. I try not to view my life as a never-ending course of sufferings. Yes, I've had my share of hard times, but do I need to recall them? After all, along with all the bad things, I've had some pretty good things as well. I had a dream and I followed it. Eventually it came true. Following that path, I and Reg met you. I'm free and surrounded by friends. Why do you need to find the Technic League agents? I broke free from slavery, thanks to you. I've attained everything I dreamed of, my freedom and the opportunity to grow my own life. I want to use this opportunity to fight the Technic League, at least a part of it that operates here in the Stolen Lands. I wish to free all the slaves from the Technic League masters. Okay. Begongar, what do you want? Have a little chat? Alright, it's not like we have anything better to do. Tell me about yourself. What is there to know? I was born, I'm alive, haven't died yet, that's enough for you? You remember your childhood? What a crappy question. I was just a kid when they sold me. Before that, I don't remember much. Smoky fires, stinky hides, always bumping along on a horse. I think I was born in one of the Kala tribes of Numeria. There are many. Some survive on their own, some give up their pride and serve the Technic League. Guess mine was one of the cowards, if they sold their own kids. I remember my father's hands. Rough, scarred, white, so I guess I get this green skin from my mother. I don't remember her. I think I remember playing with another half-orc child. A brother, maybe. For some reason they didn't sell him, just me. Father gave him his dagger to play with. Never gave it to me. Ugh, I don't want to remember. I'm an orphan. I grew up a slave, that I remember well. So many things burned into my memory. Most of all, I remember her, my Octavia. Today we're almost the same age. But back then she was twice as young as me. Just a child, but a brave one. Cunning, bold and beautiful. The most beautiful girl in the world. So, what deity do you worship? I've never got much help from the gods so far, but if you make me choose, I'd say Calistria. Who else could I worship? The sacred sting, the goddess of pleasure, fun, and revenge. Oh yes. Where did you get your magical powers? What magical powers? The hell are you talking about? Oh, you mean these? Makes lightning run over his hands. I've had them since I was born. At least one thing I can thank my scum parents for. Maybe these powers are why they sold me into slavery. Think they were scared? Who knows? At the Technic League, they drew my blood, did experiments, burned me with fire, tortured me with cold, electricity, and told me, you won't believe it, they told me I have blue dragon blood in my veins. Not bad, huh? I'm a dragon, you freaks. Come check my blood if you dare. What do your tattoos mean? They're magical, they help me control my powers. The Technic League gave them to me. I'd hope that somewhere on my body there's at least one sign left by my tribe, but no, I guess I didn't care to bother. To hell with them. They better hope I never find them. If I ever meet my father, I will even score between us. How do you manage to use both a sword and magic, and not cut off your fingers? Huh, simple. I'm just that bloody good. Do you enjoy making people suffer? Why should I care about their suffering? I do what I want. If I step on someone's toes, then they shouldn't have put themselves in my way. And chasing someone down just to torture them? That's only entertaining for maniacs like the Technic League. Well, on second thought. For them, I would make an exception. I love to watch as I fry them nice and slow. Why do you ask? Do my methods shock you? Oh my god. Oh. So long as you're in my party, try to control yourself. I don't like meaningless atrocities. If you say so, you're the boss. Make sure all our atrocities are meaningful. Wouldn't want to upset the boss. Thank you for your answers. Tell me about life in Numeria. You mean life as a slave? I didn't see much, except for the slave barracks. How did you become? I was sold by my own tribe. So I grew up in a slave barracks. I was raised to be sold like a battle animal. Why did they teach you magic? Can't you guess? Because magic is in my blood. It's why they bought me. I wasn't raised as some lowly mob slave, but as a murder machine. I'd fetch quite a nice sum of gold. You might also ask if they knew I'd take the first opportunity to rip their own guts out, using everything they taught me. Ha! Of course they did. That's the Technic League. Octavia kept pretending to be simple-minded, so I wouldn't expect anything from her, but I made every effort. Optera didn't teach me much. What is it to teach? It's not book magic, it's innate. They made me practice with my sword more, but I did my best in everything. I studied all I could. They knew they were raising an enemy, but they thought they could keep me on a short leash, or sell me to someone with deep pockets, so I became someone else's problem. But who won in the end, huh? Who is free? Who will bury them all? What else did you see beyond your life in chains? What could I have seen? Well, when we ran, we went through Starfall. That's a fine city. Big, loud, many merchants, things to see, things to steal. But I didn't have much chance to walk around. It's the very nest of the solid Technic League. We met some barbarians at them who might know what tribe I'm from, but they didn't know anything. Don't have any tribal tattoos. Nothing. Actually, they're all right. Well, some of them. Blood pikes for once. They're great. All the rivers are theirs. We sailed with them during one of our escapes. Almost all the way to Brevoy, and they didn't turn us in. But the White Scars got us after that. These guys are shit. They've sold their pride to the Technic League. Oh, and one more thing. One time Octavia and I tried to escape and stumbled across a Numerian monster. I'll never forget it. A huge spider, the size of a house, made of metal. Spitting fire, shooting deadly rays all around. That thing could probably tear even a dragon to pieces. Jesus Christ. Did you try to escape? What do you think? Of course you tried. I stopped counting how many times. Jumps from windows, duck tunnels, choked out guards, or seduced them. That happened too. But those dirtbags caught us every time. Every bloody time. My back is covered with whip scars. Luckily we were prized property. They'd spent too much gold on us to kill us. Anyone else would be hung and forgotten, but they kept trying to break us and recoup their expenses. I don't know whether I could have survived by sheer stubbornness if it weren't for Octavia. I probably couldn't have. I would have just given up and died. But I had to pull my girl out of the meat grinder, and she believed in me, and had enough hope for the both of us. When I lay there with my back slashed to pieces, she whispered to me about the river kingdoms, where there is no slavery, where everyone can go wherever they want, and take whatever they want. I'll be damned, but I thought she was just making this to keep our hopes alive, and now it turns out to be true. All of it, every last word. No change, no slaves, no love, just live and be happy. Is slavery legal in Numeria? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. There are some laws against it, but even in Starfall, a third of the people live in bondage, and that's the capital. The regions where the Black Sovereign's hand doesn't reach, they hold the tribal customs instead of laws. The barbarians don't keep Instead they have trolls, big bloody difference. And on top of all of that mess is the Technic League. Lawn custom means nothing to those slime balls, they just take whatever they want. What's your relationship with Octavia? Well, I don't have a relationship, we have a life together. Did you meet? Back when we were children, we were taken as apprentices by great spellmaster Janus. Maestro Janus, he called himself. He was a teacher. Well, he made Octavia read books and memorize spell. I have my own innate magic. Trained me a bit, taught how to control my gift, so I wouldn't lose control and incinerate myself like a dumbass. Okay. Oh, teacher, we will meet again. There's one more test I must pass. But you were asking about my Octavia. We have been together all our lives. I've learned everything together, how to weave magic and how to survive. And as we grew older, we learned how to love. Without each other, we would never have gotten out of there. That's for sure. We'd have given up and surrendered to death. But together, it's a very different story. Not the first time, and not the 10th. Eventually we made it out. Why do you call her yours? She doesn't seems to like that very much. My girl loves freedom so much, and even a slight chance of losing it frightens her. She's so smart. You really think she feels like I'm trying to make her mind like an apple stolen in our market? Me, was skinned alive, trying to help her escape? If she's afraid of the word my, it's because she doesn't understand the difference between my boots and my heart, but she will understand sooner or later. Are you faithful to each other? Octavia and I are connected, and this connection cannot be broken. We grew into each other, you know. Jealousy is for weak cowards. We don't trust each other and are scared of being tricked. If at the night the sight threatens your love, that just means there was no real love to begin with. She and I are together to the end, and we will never part from each other. So when she likes some lad or some lass, it's no drama to me. I just ask her whether she wants me to leave them alone or join in. She does the same. What? Are you judging us? Or maybe you just want to join us in our tent? Not just curious. You asked, I answered. When you pry into others' life, don't be surprised if you find something that will keep you up at night. What did you say when you were killing Kalana? Oh, that. Callistra's holy words. I stabbed you with my heart. We say that when we get our vengeance. Those words will make it so much sweeter. I have to go. So long. If you want to know anything else, just ask. Don't be shy. Just don't go pale when I answer. And I think that was it for now. All of my companions. We know the backstory. So, thank you for watching, and see you next time. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe, as it will help me know what kind of content you prefer. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.